Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Nunes Magician Orange Legend series. I'm Kevin Wall. Joining me tonight, Steve Haller, and former Syracuse women's soccer standout and current member of Racing Louisville FC in the National Women's Soccer League, Erin Simon. Erin, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here, Kevin. It's good to see you.
Good to see you again. So we want to start off by talking about your Syracuse days, right? So it was 2012, right? Was your first year with the Orange?
Yeah, 2012 to 2015.
Okay. What were some of the best memories of that time at SU?
I mean, when I was there, it was the whole transition from the Big East to the ACC. So that was massive for Syracuse as a whole. So to go from, Big East style play to the ACC was an incredible jump. And I mean, it was still cool playing against teams like Rutgers and Georgetown, and
Right.
UConn was always a fun one to play against. That was usually preseason, but those Big East games were always a battle. But then once you got into ACC, it's a totally different style of play. So getting to play against like UNC and Duke, Virginia were incredible opponents to play against. So those are a few of the soccer highlights for sure.
So what's the big difference? What was the big difference going from the Big East to the ACC? Is it just the skill level or more the way of the games, the style of play?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. Definitely think the Big East was kind of more physical, whereas the ACC was definitely a little more tactical, skill based. But yeah, that was probably the major difference. I got pummeled in the Big East, whereas like players in the ACC were just better on the ball, faster, more technical.
Yeah. And so your first couple years, you played up front in an attacking role and then switched back to defense, right?
Yes, I did.
How was that adjustment for you?
It was actually not of an adjustment. I loved playing forward. It was so much fun, but I didn't have that selfish attitude that you need in front of the goal where instead of taking a shot, I would pass it off. And I don't know, I found a lot of joy in stopping players more so than scoring a goal. So I knew going into my junior year, we had just graduated one of our outside backs. So I asked Phil Wedden, who was the coach at the time, if I could try out outside back. And then I've been there ever since, and I love the position.
Right. So obviously it was a move that's paid off for you being able to move on professionally. So that was a good decision on your part, right?
Yeah, definitely one of the better decisions.
So anything else that you could think of, from your time at Syracuse that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I got to go to a few of the basketball games. Football games are kind of hard to go to because we were in season, but I got to go to the basketball game where we beat Duke in double overtime on a buzzer beater. So that was incredible. I was there a few times when we went through the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. So obviously those were incredible times to be on campus because it's just a different atmosphere when we're watching college basketball and March Madness.
Right. So when you graduate, are you thinking immediately that playing soccer professionally is what you want to do? Talk to us a little bit about how you end up, making that transition and getting your start in the pros.
It was interesting because the NWSL was fairly new at the time. The league was very unstable and it had folded various times in the past, so it wasn't as stable as it is currently. So I think I talked to Phil maybe my sophomore or freshman year about professional soccer in general and how I was interested because I loved playing and I couldn't imagine hanging up my cleats in 3-4 years to come. And he was really honest with me, which I appreciate honest feedback. And he was like, it's very difficult to get into. I mean, it's like the top 1% in the world. There was 9 or 10 teams at the time, and there's only 20 contracted players per team. So that's 200 players where 2 of them are usually a goalkeeper as well. So very, very small odds of making it. He was very honest with me, but he was like, you're a hardworking blue collar player. We can work on this and, see what we can do in the 4 years that you have at Syracuse.
So you started off, you went to a pro tryout, right? At the time it was Sky Blue FC, and they were in New Jersey, right? So your home state.
Yeah. So how it happened was a draft happens and there's 4 rounds, 10 picks per round, and only 40 players get drafted out of the millions of Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 athletes. So I didn't get drafted. So I ended up going to open tryouts where I had to like fill out an application, basically pay to get there, pay to try out for a team. And I got 2.5 hours and maybe 2 sessions to prove myself as a player. And I ended up going to Orlando first, January of 2016. And then I went to Sky Blue in March of 2016, and then got invited back to both preseasons of those teams. And I ended up choosing Sky Blue, who is based in New Jersey, because, being a Jersey girl, I love the idea of representing New Jersey at that level. And Christy Pierce was also a player at the time on Sky Blue. And, the opportunity to learn from one of the best defenders to ever wear the USA crest was obviously something that I was very interested in.
You talked a little bit about the transition from the Big East to the ACC. What was the transition like going from college to professional soccer?
Yeah, it's definitely another level up for sure. Speed of play, physicality, all the physical sides of the game it's a huge jump, but it's mostly a huge tactical change. Like, players are very smart at this level, and they can break down a team, break down players very easily from the mental side of the game. So it's very tactical, a huge tactical jump, which I definitely had to adjust to when I went from college to professional.
So a lot of people may not be as familiar with professional soccer. So I guess a little bit is, if you could talk to us a little bit about what goes into that, what's the schedule look like for you?
It's a full-time job. Some people think we just go to the stadium or we go to our practice fields. We practice for the 2 hours that we're there, but it's full-time. We have to get treatments. We have to eat right. Even the off season, we're constantly training. So we never really have time off. We don't have the normal 9 to 5, 5-day-a-week job where we have weekends off. Like, we train on weekends. We train 6 days out of the week, and we just constantly have to look after ourselves. So it's pretty full time, and a lot goes into it. It's a lot of commitment, dedication, a lot of sacrifice. You miss a heck of a lot of family events, weddings, etc., for the sport. So it's a big sacrifice.
You mentioned when you started that the league wasn't as stable as it is now. You mentioned having to pay, basically paying for your initial opportunity. As a young player leaving college, how do you deal with that? Are you able to block out what's going on like off the field and just be able to focus on doing your best in your career?
Yeah, obviously it's difficult, and you kind of realize, like, this is your dream. You have to, obviously, like I've been saying, you have to sacrifice a lot for your dreams. So you give up a lot of things, including, money saved to try and make them come true. And hopefully it works out in the end. If not, like, I'm a full believer that everything happens for a reason.
So a couple years in Jersey, and then you end up taking a leap across the pond. What leads you, to pursue the opportunity over in England?
It kind of just unfolded into my lap, honestly. I was released by Sky Blue, and I was training with them for about 3 weeks, and I didn't really know what was going to happen with my career, where I was going. I knew it wasn't over, but I didn't know where I was going to end up. And then at the time, I had 2 years under my belt of professional experience, and I played against Matt Beard, who was the head coach of the Boston Breakers, but they had folded that year. And he ended up getting the head coaching job over at West Ham. And he remembered me as a player playing against him, and he really enjoyed me as a player. So he reached out to me when he found out that I had my dual citizenship in Ireland. And he was like, would you be interested in playing overseas in England? And I said, absolutely. Like, it was such a incredible opportunity that was just laid at my feet. I couldn't say no.
So
Go
ahead.
Kev. You can't go wrong, already having the work permit already built in, and, easy opportunity to go over and make a name for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
So I guess
great club too. I really enjoyed the whole culture over in England. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think John Casillo, our head writer and manager of the blog, is probably. I think he may have to get a classic Simon kit for his young daughter.
The claret and hue. That's what he has to get.
Absolutely.
Good old hammers.
So what were some of the differences with going, you mentioned the culture, what was it like, going to play?
It was honestly a culture shock. I'm a very homebody person. I love America, but going to England was an incredible experience, and I grew a lot as a person there. I learned a heck of a lot about the sport. They're very, very, very much tactical over there. We're very athletic in America, where we breed athletes here, and over there they're very tactical. So they love the game. It's a beautiful puzzle almost to them. And I learned a lot about it there, and I played against some incredible players from all different countries. And the thing that I loved the most about it was just how much they love the sport. They truly eat, bleed, breathe the whole entire sport over there. They love it.
And so was it your first year there? You played in the FA Cup final. You played a game in Wembley Stadium. What's the experience like walking into that, famed grounds?
I didn't know how famous it actually was, and then I did some research, and I was like, the history behind the tournament itself is incredible, and I was so honored to be able to step foot on that field for that championship game. It's probably still one of the highlights of my career, was getting to play. We were the home team, so we got to play in front of 43,000 of our home fans. I mean, we didn't get the result we wanted, but you can't take away that experience at all.
Right. That's incredible. 43,000 people. That's bigger than that Duke game that you were talking about. Bigger crowd. So
yeah, crazy. It was loud. It was awesome.
That's just got to be something. Like, you think about a few hundred people, right? At SU's soccer stadium probably sounds loud, and then to walk out and play in front of 43,000 has to be something that you certainly will remember for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We actually found a few photos in our access in the Getty site of you in the West Hammers kit from the game. So we're going to toss one in the article when it goes up tomorrow. So.
Oh man, that was a fun game.
Yeah.
There's some good pictures from that game. So as long as it's not any Syracuse ones, I don't know what I looked like back in college, but hopefully I look a little better now.
There's some good ones. So want to kind of transition back. So you came back last year to the NWSL, and obviously in the pandemic things were all sort of sports were thrown off, and the NWSL was one of the first pro leagues to actually get going, and you guys didn't play a full season, but you played the Challenge Cup in Utah, right?
Yes.
And you came back and you're part of the Houston Dash at that point. So you talked about the experience coming back from England. How do you feel that helped you when you returned back to the States to play?
Like I said, the jump from college to pros is difficult from a tactical standpoint. So to go over to England and learn the beautiful game, I learned a lot about the tactics of the game and certain movements and things that are just nerdy for soccer players. But it helped me to come back to America and apply the tactical knowledge that I learned into the game, and a little more positioning and things like that to, better help me as a player with the American style game. Cause I'm a very American style player, but to also have the knowledge that I learned over in England really, improved my level of play.
Well, if Coach Mack watches this, he'll probably shed a tear hearing you refer to it as the beautiful game. So
yeah, I hope so. He put a lot of work into me. So,
but obviously it was a shortened sort of season. It was a controlled environment, but you're part of a team that won sort of at the end. As an athlete, are you still able in the moment with everything going on to appreciate the accomplishment? Take people through that, because I'm not sure, obviously everyone had to adjust to what was going on last year, and it's still going on, but as an athlete, what's that experience like?
it was it was different for sure. The whole bubble experience in Utah was one of the hardest experiences I've ever been through. We were completely isolated in a hotel on our own floor. We were only allowed to go from the hotel to the training grounds and back. We were being tested every 4 days for COVID, and we were stuck there for a month in this bubble life. And it was it was tough on the emotional side and the mental side of things, but um winning it was different. I mean, it did feel like winning, but there was no fans, so like you couldn't celebrate with anyone. So that was a unique part of it, was not being able, like, it being a dead empty stadium, and you couldn't really celebrate with the people that are rooting for you from back home, which we got a ton of messages from our fans, and people were buying us dinners, and it was incredible, the support that we got from back home. But it's so different having people live cheering for you in that stadium in that moment. But um I think it makes you realize that we gave people something to hope for. Uh, Playing in this tournament, being one of the first professional leagues to come back during COVID, to show like this can be done. We don't have to fear this virus. We can coexist as people again and not be scared to interact with people. Sports can be a thing again. Because I think people, shut down the entire world and you think, oh, it's never going to come back. But I think we proved that that could happen, that we can live in this environment and have some normalcy again. So I think we, one, gave people that kind of sense of hope, but also gave them some entertainment, because there was
Right.
nothing on TV at that time.
No, there certainly wasn't, and I think that's an important point. So then you win, and now you get selected in an expansion draft, and so you're going to go to a brand new city and a new franchise. How does that feel to be drafted in this manner? Off a team that just won.
Um, I mean, like I said, I'm a firm believer in just kind of letting life take you where it's going to take you, and letting your marbles drop where they drop, and everything happens for a reason. So I did enjoy my time at Houston. Winning the Challenge Cup was so much fun and one of the top experiences. But when I got selected in the draft, it was like a new chapter had opened. Houston had closed, and I was so excited to come to Louisville, be part of a brand new franchise, a brand new team, in a city that's growing. And the coolest part about it was that this city doesn't have a professional team. They have the college, University of Louisville, and then they have the USL men's team. And so we were the first professional team to be in the city, and we could implement our footprint here in our culture. And so many people are so excited in this city to have this team here, and you can feel the energy in all of our games right now, and it's incredible to have that support.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What's the atmosphere? Because we know obviously Louisville is a rival of Syracuse, but it's also a great sports town, and very supportive of not only the college teams, but everything else that's going on. What's it like for this new franchise to get started?
I mean, I didn't realize the deep history of sports in this city. They have, obviously, Muhammad Ali is huge, and our uniforms pay homage to him. We have little butterflies and bee emblems on our uniforms, which is really cool. And the Kentucky Derby happened last weekend, which is a massive event. And sadly, we weren't here for it. We were playing in New Jersey, but that's a huge sporting event. And then the college here is massive as well. So to be the first professional team here, people were so behind it because they have such a deep history in sports here already. So the atmosphere has been incredible at games, even with the limited capacity. The stadium got so loud on our very first game, and credit to the fans. They sat through like an absolute monsoon. But it was incredible. The whole thing. They're just, the whole atmosphere here is awesome so far.
That's great. And you're reunited with your coach from Sky Blue, correct?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Good. What's it like as trying to come together? We know you just finished the Challenge Cup, and you've got a couple weeks before the regular season gets started. Is it a challenge to bring together a group and form a new team?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of challenges behind forming a new team and coming into a league where there's so many established teams where players have been there for multiple years and they have their style of play. But it's a unique experience for us to come in and make some noise. And I think we've proven to people that we can keep up and we can play. And, I think we're all bought into what Christy is looking to do with us. We're bought into, being Racing Louisville and having that as like our stamp on the city.
So your games are going to be streaming on Paramount Plus. We have a lot of people on the site that are, Syracuse football, basketball fans. And so what would you say to someone who hasn't given women's pro soccer an opportunity, to what should they be looking for? Why should they tune in? What should they do? Why should sports fans be excited to catch some of these games?
Honestly, like playing in them, it's just nonstop action. There's plenty of goals scored, and it's a lot of action. It kind of reminds me of ice hockey, where it's just constant. So it's a very back and forth sport. It's very transitional in this league. So there's a ton of goals, assists, and really awesome plays. And just, women's soccer is growing, and the U.S. national team has really helped that in past years through winning the Olympics and the World Cup. And they did an incredible job in 2019, after they won the World Cup, I believe it was. And after that, when people came back to the NWSL, the fans, the attendance numbers were skyrocketing at that point. So I think it's really growing in this country, and it's a very exciting sport, and there's a huge following, and you'd be part of the early stages of what is going to be an incredible sport in the U.S. history come down the line. But right now it's at like the growing phases, which is pretty cool because you can see it being built from the ground up.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I know even locally, you can see the buy into the women's game significantly. That 2019 final you're talking about, we had down on Montgomery Street, Wolf's Beer Garden opened up, local soccer bar, and literally there were 300 people inside, and people, like, we set up a TV outside to watch that match. There was that much support coming out for it. And I mean, you look at NWSL, and even look at who's been directly running at you this year, with Marta, Jess McDonald, Ashley Sanchez. Like, there's some Carly Lloyd. Like, there's some names that have gone one-on-one with you, and it's like that's a heck of an introduction to a new team to have that lineup come at you.
Yeah. When you go up against those players, obviously it's a massive challenge, but it's a challenge that we as players really look forward to, because it's fun playing against them. It's exciting to play against those names.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is your opportunity. We always give our guests an opportunity to promote social media, follow. We're going to link to the Racing Louisville schedule, so folks know when they can tune in to catch you playing. Steve does a really good Orange in the Pros update, which updates not only the MLS, the men's alums, but also the women's alums. So here's your opportunity to get some plugs in, Erin.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Unfortunately, I'm not big on social media, but I do have Instagram. It's just Erin Simon 3. Go also follow Racing Louisville FC. That's our team. And the NWSL. I think it's just at NWSL. Go follow. I know they all have the social media platforms, but for my personal account, it's just Instagram. But definitely tune in. Paramount Plus is an awesome platform to watch the games. Definitely tune into the regular season starting next week. It's going to be massive. There are going to be a lot of exciting games. And we also have a really cool tournament in August where we're playing PSG and Bayern Munich, I believe it is. No, PSG. Yeah, and Bayern Munich. They're coming to our home stadium to play us in Chicago in an international tournament.
Awesome. We will definitely keep a reminder for that. Our soccer nerds will make sure that we keep an eye out for that piece.
Those are cool ones when you play the international ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we'll keep that on the. I'll make sure to keep that in the updates weekly.
Yep.
Definitely.
I do have to say a nice shout out and thanks to the couple of racing fans that have showed up in the chat. So good to see you've got a following, Erin.
Love that. They're so good about that. I'm telling you, the fan base here is incredible.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll tell people that they can pick up their gear at the store. I was checking out some
Oh
of the
yeah.
stuff that's available. So
Oh yeah, definitely. It's unique. So go get some of the Racing Louisville.
awesome. Well, Erin, thank you for your time. Congratulations and so far on how things have gone, and good luck with this season in Louisville. And this is a one Louisville team that Syracuse fans don't have to feel guilty rooting for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was great being on here. And it was good to see you guys.
All right. Thanks, Erin. And thanks for tuning in, folks, to another edition of the Nunes Magician Orange Legends Chat. Tonight's guest was Erin Simon, and we'll have a blog up on the site tomorrow. And for Steve Haller, I'm Kevin Wall, and good night, everyone.